The story you're about to hear is about a young man named Frank Abagnale Jr., also known as the Master of Deception. He went from being one of the most notorious con artists in history to becoming a trusted partner of the FBI. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and get ready to uncover this unbelievable mystery. Once upon a time in 1948, in a small town in New York, a baby boy was born into an ordinary family. His name was Frank William Abagnale Jr. No one knew that this innocent child would one day become one of the greatest imposters and thieves the world had ever seen. Frank grew up watching his father, who was once wealthy but later fell into financial struggles. As a teenager, Frank's parents divorced, and the world around him crumbled. But instead of crying over the broken pieces, Frank decided to rebuild his life in a way most people could never imagine, through lies, tricks, and crimes. At just 16 years old, Frank left home. He had no money, no degree, and no connections. But he had one thing that no one could take from him: a brilliant mind for deception. Frank's first crime was small but clever. He altered the dates on checks and deposited them into his account. He quickly learned that banks trusted appearance more than truth. That tiny success gave birth to a bold dream. If he could trick one bank, maybe he could trick the whole world. And that's exactly what he did. Frank began impersonating people of high authority. First, he dressed as an airline pilot. With nothing more than a stolen uniform and a confident smile, he managed to fly on over 250 flights for free. Imagine a teenage boy sitting in the cockpit, eating with real pilots and traveling across the world, while passengers thought he was a professional. But Frank didn't stop there. He pretended to be a doctor in Georgia, where he actually supervised real interns. Later, he posed as a lawyer, even passing the Louisiana bar exam by studying law books for just a few weeks. Behind all these disguises was Frank's true hustle: forging checks. He printed thousands of fake checks and cashed them in banks across America and Europe. By the late 1960s, Frank had stolen over $2.5 million, a fortune at that time. Banks were confused. Airlines were baffled. Hospitals were shocked. Everyone was asking the same question: who is this mysterious man that appears everywhere and fools everyone? But like all fairy tales of crime, Frank's story could not last forever. One cold day in 1969, Frank was finally caught in France. The police stormed into his hotel and arrested him. He was only 21 years old. He had lived 5 lifetimes in just a few short years. But now it was time to pay the price. Frank spent time in prisons across France, Sweden, and finally the United States. He thought his story was over. But surprisingly, fate had one more twist waiting for him. The FBI, impressed by Frank's genius in forgery and deception, decided to use him instead of wasting him. They offered him a deal: work with the FBI to catch other fraudsters or stay behind bars. Frank chose freedom. From a teenage con man to an FBI consultant, Frank Abagnale turned his dark past into a shining future. Today, he is a respected security expert, teaching banks and companies how to prevent the very crimes he once committed. His life became so legendary that Hollywood turned it into a blockbuster movie called Catch Me If You Can, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. And so, the story of Frank Abagnale Jr. teaches us one thing: a brilliant mind can build an empire, or destroy it, depending on the path you choose. Some heroes are born, some are made, and some, like Frank, are forged in the shadows of crime. Did you enjoy this story? Then don't just stop here. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next mystery. We've got more thrilling stories coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them.